All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Math Made Easy with Terry in 10 minutes. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to talk about the three addition formula. And what I'll just do is to just state the formula. I'm not going to prove them. Okay. I'm not going to talk about how do we derive them and stuff like that. I'll just talk about what the formula is and what should be the results. Is that okay? If you want to know how to derive or prove them, you have to go to the textbook and get other resources to do that. So basically, there are four types, okay? There are four types we're going to talk about. The first one I'm going to talk about is the sum and differences of angle. Sum and differences of angle. And like I told you, there are four types, okay? So what's our advice? I'm going to just list them, all right? And when I do list them, you can take a screenshot, you can write it on your notes, on your study material, then you're going to apply it while solving. Usually those formulas are usually given in the formula sheet, but in case it's not given, feel free, you can commit it to memory. It's not that difficult. You just follow a particular pattern. Let's say, for instance, we have the first one, let's say sine A plus B, okay? It's going to give you sine A cos B plus cos A sine B. Can you see? So sine A plus B is going to give you sine A cos B plus cos A sine B. Now, if it's minus, it's going to be sine A minus B will be equal to sine A cos B minus cos A sine B. All right. But usually what we do, usually in maths, we combine both of them together. So it's written like A plus B is cos sine A cos B plus cos A sine B, right? Now, if it's minus, if it's A minus B, it's going to be sine A cos B minus cos A sine B. So we write it like this, okay? So then so we can save some space, or so avoid repeating it severally, okay? We write it like this. So it's just like 2 in 1, all right? So if it's sine A plus B, it's going to be sine A cos B plus cos A sine B. Sine A minus B will be sine A cos B minus cos A sine B. The next one we have is going to be cos. So I'm going to write both of them together. Cos A plus B will be equal to cos A cos B. Now, if it was plus, it's going to be minus. And if it was minus, it's going to be what? Plus, okay? Sine B. All right? Then for number 3, one of the popular trig identities also is tan. So if we have tan A plus or minus B will be equal to tan A plus or minus. So that means if it's plus here, it's going to be plus. If it's minus, it's going to be minus tan B, all divided by 1. If it's plus, it's going to be minus. If it's minus, it's going to be what? Plus, okay? Tan A, tan B. All right. Now, I'm going to solve each of these questions separately. Is that okay? So I'm going to have a video for sum and differences of angle and the rest of it, but I want to just list all the formulas in this video so that the next video, I will just go straight section and just talk about them. All right. So let's go to another one. So let's go to number 2. So the number 2 is what is usually called the double angles. Some of you might have heard the double angles. Basically, it's when A and B are the same thing, okay? So the double angles, and for double angles, usually it's derived from the sum and differences of angles. And like I said, there's a proof for it, but we don't have time for that. Is that okay? So for double angles, okay? Now the double angles is when A and B are equal, so it's going to be sine. So if, for instance, it's sine A plus A, you can write it as sine 2A. Does that make sense? It's what we call the double angle. So that means basically they are of the same they're identical, all right? So we're going to start with the first one, sine 2a. All right. Now, sine 2a is the same thing as saying 2 sine a cos a. That is it. So sine 2a is 2 sine a cos a. Now, some textbook will like to write this in light of tan. So some textbook will tell you that it is 2 tan a divided 1 plus tan squared what? A. So both of them are the same thing. You can either use 2 sine a cos a to solve the question, or you can use 2 tan a 1 plus tan squared a. All right. Now the same thing when we have cos 2a. All right. So for cos 2a is 1 minus 2 sine squared a. Now, same thing, some textbook as well usually write it in light of tan. So it depends on the question you're given to see which one will be the most appropriate to solve the question. So it can be 1 minus tan squared a divided by 1 plus tan squared a. So that means for cos theta, you can use 1 minus 2 sine squared a, or you can use 1 minus tan squared a, 1 plus tan squared a. Now, the third one is definitely tan 2a. So tan 2a is equal to 2 tan a divided by 1 minus tan squared a. All right? So I've talked about the sum and differences of angles. I've talked about the double angles. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about, the sum and differences of ratios, okay? Usually equated to, or sometimes referred to the sum to product formula. Some people call it the sum to product formula. So any of them is the same, but I prefer to call it the sum and differences of ratios, okay? So that'll be number 3 now. Number 3, the sum and differences of ratios. Okay, sum and differences of ratios. Now, we're going to have some formulas. I'm going to give you 2, or I'll give you 4. Let's just make it even. Let's make it 4. So I'll say sine A plus sine B. Okay, can you see? This is different from the previous one we talked about, which was sine A plus B. Is that making sense? All right. But this is sine A plus sine B. And this is the same thing as saying 2 sine A plus B over 2 cos A minus B divided by what? 2. Is that okay? So sine A plus sine B is 2 sine A plus B over 2 cos A minus B over 2. All right. Now, the same thing, if we want to solve for sine A minus B, okay, it's going to give us 2 cos this time. All right. So when it's sine, if it's minus, it's going to be what? Cosine. So that is the major difference here. But the rest is going to be the same. A plus B over 2. And instead of having cos, it's going to be sine A minus B over what? 2. All right. Number 3. Cos. We're going to do for cosine now. Cos A plus cos what? B. It will give you 2. If it's cosine, it will also be cos here. Cos A plus B over 2. But instead, you're going to have cosine here as well. All right. Cos A minus B over what? 2. Then number 4, we're going to have for the subtraction now. So cos A minus cos B will be, in this case, it's going to be minus 2 sine. Is that okay? A plus B over 2 and sine A minus B over what? 2. And that will be that for that. Then I'm going to just pick one more. Let me pick the last one, product of ratios. The last one I'm going to talk about, the last type, product of ratios. All right. So product of ratios. The first one we have, we're going to have 2 sine A cos B. Okay, so it's a product of ratios. So we're multiplying sine A cos B. So 2 sine A cos B is equal to sine A plus B plus sine A minus what? B. Is that okay? And the next one is 2 cos A cos B will be equal to cos A plus B plus cos A minus B. And the last one we're going to talk about will be 2 sine A sine B, and that will give you cos A minus B minus cos A plus B. Good. And that'll be that for that. So that means what this implies now, I'm going to dedicate another video for the first one, the sum and differences of angle, another video for the double angles, another one for the sum and differences of ratios and the product of ratios, okay? So what I would advise is that you can just pause it here, take a screenshot, paste it on your wall or something, get used to knowing this, and we're going to apply it moving forward, all right? And if you have any question, please let me know. You can put it in the chat box. And don't forget to subscribe so when I post new videos, you will get a notification for that. All right? Okay. So let's start. So the next video I'm going to talk about, I'm going to solve questions on sum and differences of angle. All right? All right. So I'll see you in the next video. So I'm excited to start this one. See you soon.